A week ahead of Gabriel Bortoletto's F1 debut, we've got to witness another rising star from Brazil finally able to show the wider world what he is capable of, as Gabriel Gomez completed his comfortable run to the Formula Winter Series title, and the youngster looks poised to find himself fighting for the prestigious Italian F4 title over the summer. Hello and welcome, fellow motorsports fans. Please excuse the lack of a camera and slightly dodgy voice. I am once again sick at home, but with 2 titles decided and the start of SuperFormula, there was no way I could just skip this episode. I'll just try to keep it short and sweet, so let's get straight to the action. In the Formula Winter Series, Hitech and Genser came in with a strong weekend, with us Racing struggling a bit, keeping the championship alive a tad longer than expected. Leo Robinson and Fionn McLaughlin both tried their hardest, but ultimately Gabriel Gomez still cruised to the title with relative ease, despite his worst weekend of the year. Absolute masterclass of a season, and I couldn't be any happier to have the former karting ace showing his ability in F4 as well. His talent has been known for a while now, and he looks more than ready to rise through the ranks of the Formula ladder. He may have been a part of the dominant US Racing squad, but he did have to beat some rather capable teammates like Maxime Rehm and Kabir Anarak along the way, and did so with ease. And given the surprisingly mediocre looking Premier lineup, he might well be one of the big favourites for the upcoming Italian F4 season. I mentioned Genser having a strong weekend, and it showed itself in consistently strong runs from Inia Frey, Bart Harrison and Artem Severiukin. Bart Harrison got to end the season on a high note with 2 podium appearances, but I quickly want to highlight Severiukin again. One of my viewers did inform me that Severiukin's Elon salute a few years ago was, despite the awful timing, in no way a political statement and apparently just a stupid teenage joke with his team, the gravity of which he did not understand and something he deeply regrets. Of course, I cannot verify this story personally, but given his age at the time, it does sound rather plausible. So maybe we don't need to be upset about him being mad talented after all. Thomas Behrman ended his campaign on a high note, jump-starting his way to almost take his maiden victory, just losing out to Anarak thanks to the 5-second penalty. While I don't think he is quite the same level of talented as his brother, with the level of progression seen here, he'll surely be a key player in the British F4 season. Shout out to Max Popov. While Van Amersfoort only had one properly good weekend as a team, Popov himself excelled over the entire season to take P5 in the championship despite a weekend to forget at Barcelona. At the final round of the F4 portion of the Spanish Winter Championship, I still absolutely hate this naming convention, we've got a slightly underwhelming title battle between Campos drivers Thomas Strauven and Jan Przyrowski. Przyrowski set himself up well by winning the first race, but his weekend went massively downhill from there, while Strauven showed class by pulling off a bunch of vital moves, particularly his opening laps stood out to me, to run away with the title in race 2 and race 3. I can't wait for the rematch over the summer. More of the young teammates could come into play though, as Campos looked near unbeatable over the season. WK10 as best of the rest in P3 to take the rookie title is a good indicator, much like Miguel Costa with a pair of P2s also giving credit to that theory. I sincerely hope MP will come back swinging in the regular season. Despite the car-related difficulties, my hype train for Niklas Schaufler and Ian Eichmanns is still very much alive, habitual frontrunners throughout their karting careers, and didn't take long to show their worth in F4 cars either. While René Lammers goes into the season with a clear title ambition, the only reason for him to stay for a second year really, I doubt he has big budget issues, he very much runs at the risk of getting smashed by his rookie teammates, I think. In the rare segment, with not one, but 2 shoutouts to end on. First, Yanni Steven Aidens, after calling him out in the first round, he came back big time here with a confident win in horrendous conditions. Much more like the performance you'd expect from a third year and former championship contender. Sadly, the rest of the weekend didn't quite follow that particular script. And in similar fashion, Andrej Petrovic locked in his first win since around a year ago in the much weaker Saudi F4. And he did it in a Technicar nonetheless. SuperFormula finally kicked off with the Suzuka doubleheader, and in case you somehow missed it, it was an absolute banger from start to finish. Honda teams expected it at the front, with Dandelion versus Mugen locked in an epic 2 vs 2 all weekend. Japan Iwasa beat Tomoki Nojiri off the line in both races and finds himself leading the championship, but still somehow couldn't find his maiden victory just yet. Meanwhile, his two-time champion teammate got screwed by a double-stacked stop in the first race. The same fate Tadasuke Makino also had to suffer. Unlike Nojiri, the Dandelion driver could make up for it with one hell of a race in the second one, pulling off the unexpected long first stint strategy to take an easy-looking victory. Teammate Kakunoshin Otta, meanwhile, smashed the first race but ruined what could have been a Dandelion 1-2 in the second by overtaking Iwasa off track and not giving back the position, even though his car clearly had the pace to pull off a legal move as well. He went for the F1 strategy of trying to outdrive the penalty and even looked set for the podium anyway, until a late race safety car ruined his day entirely. Either way, what an epic battle it has been, with Mugen having the upper hand in quali and Dandelion clearly bringing the best package for race conditions. Meanwhile, in the Toyota camp, reigning champ Sho Tsuboi truly showed his championship qualities. As the sole Toyota against the Honda army at the front, he really maximized both races, putting himself in position to the best of his abilities to capitalize on the small errors ahead. Thus, he somehow managed to get away with P2 and P4, leaving the weekend as second in the standings. The rest of the grid should be rather terrified right about now. The series also finally has some more international flavour again this season, with Zach O'Sullivan, Igor Fraga and Sasha Fenestras joining the ranks. Fenestras, coming off the back of a shocking FE season last year, had the misfortune of going up against the aforementioned Sho Tsuboi and got utterly dominated. The other two did show some positive signs, and while neither will be near the title fight for car reasons alone, I hope they can leave their mark in the series anyway. For O'Sullivan, this is a critical opportunity to get his career back on track after running out of budget halfway through his F2 campaign last year. We've also had a couple of Japanese rookies joining the grid, and I really want to highlight Sion Koide, the reigning SuperFormula Lights champion, which of course you all knew thanks to my SuperFormula Lights coverage last season, wink wink. It really hit the ground running among the pros as well. He may have ruined his first race off the line, but was rapid in qualifying and did secure some good points in race 2. Surely greater things to come in the not too distant future. The only caveat is the fact that BMAX is only fielding a single car, so we don't quite get the same level of insight due to the lack of a teammate. And that was already it for the car racing side, if you can believe it. Can't wait for F1, 2 and 3 to finally kick off next weekend, but this just gives me the opportunity to make our quick weekly karting report a tiny bit longer today. We begin with the 4th round of the 5-round WSK Supermaster Series, where in the Mini Under 10s, Josh Bergman's dominance has finally been stopped with a clinical performance from Daniel Pasquale to keep the distant dream of a title alive until next weekend. Nevertheless, no matter the outcome, this was clearly a breakout championship for both Bergman and Win Gottschalk for me. Talking about utter dominance, in the Mini Group 3, Xavier Lazaro has put in yet another stunning drive to take a dominant win, while Nicolo Perico had a bit of an off weekend for his own high standards, and it looks like the championship could just be slipping away from him. I'd definitely suggest you go and watch that battle. In the OK Juniors, the points gap may look similar, but the field is much more competitive at the sharp end. Dean Hoogendoorn still in the lead thanks to his admirable consistency, but the story of the weekend was definitely Alpine Junior Tristan Kreisen finally finding his first win on that level of competition after threatening to do so for quite a while now. And, because I've not really mentioned them so far, American twins Drew and particularly Devon Waltz have also found another gear this year, with Devon making it to the podium here to put himself P4 in the standings. In the OK Seniors, superstar Dries van Langendonk had a bit of a tough time in the final, while Parolin factory driver Christian Castoya absolutely ran away with the race start to finish. This also means we will have quite the title showdown on our hands, with the pair only separated by a single point. I've said it before, and I'll double down here. Castoya is the best driver on this level, currently not signed by an F1 Academy. Maybe Ferrari can finally pick up someone good again. I'll skip the shifter portion for once and instead have a quick look further north to the BNL, which is effectively the Benelux Rotax Championship, which has also kicked off this weekend, and while I probably won't feature it much over the year, it has been such a slow week I wanted to introduce it to you guys anyway. In the juniors, the title fight is well on, with serial frontrunner Van der Halen and junior Rotax world champion Jacob Ashcroft leaving this first round with a win and a P2 apiece, despite the very competitive front group of the grid. Jacob Ashcroft really is a name you should remember going forward. I don't know how far his budget can take him. That's always a bit of a question mark with these quote-unquote lower level competitions, but he is inarguably talented and someone to keep an eye on wherever he may go. And in the seniors, British karting star and one of my personal favourites, Macaulay Bishop, had to come back from dead last in the first race, and while he couldn't quite bring himself into the lead group there, he made up for it on Sunday with a controlled win in classic Bishop fashion. Someone with deep pockets really needs to recognise this kid's ability sooner rather than later. It is almost a crime that he is not racing in a car by now, but it looks like it might never happen for him. And that's already it for this week. Once again, please excuse the dodgy quality this time. As always, this is your time to put all of your thoughts, predictions and questions down in the comments to get our lovely little discussion going. And otherwise, I thank you all for watching, and I do hope to catch you in the next one when it's finally time to talk about F2 and F3.